Hello, and welcome to Miniverse. Today we are building a Star Wars sci-fi diorama. I based this diorama off the Jakku scene from Star Wars The Force Awakens. Except what makes this diorama special, instead of it just being a desert, it's a desert with a big monster in it. So make of that as you will. To kick this diorama off, I built the Star Destroyer from the Bandai Star Wars Death Star and Star Destroyer box. I think that's the most times I've ever said star in a sentence, and that's one hell of a tongue twister. Anyway, after that, I grabbed some XPS foam and cut them to the sizes I wanted to build the diorama out of. This is actually my first time using XPS foam, and it was pretty tough to cut through, so I always use the golden rule of always cutting towards yourself. Well, we got there in the end. After hot gluing all the foam to the base, I grabbed my hot wire foam cutter to make rock-like textures in the sides and the base of the foam. I like to use a hot wire instead of tinfoil on this occasion because it makes my brain feel nice and warm. For legal reasons, that's a joke. But seriously, please wear a mask. After texturizing the foam, I needed some green stuff together to make some dunes across the landscape. I found the easiest way to do this was to roll the green stuff into a worm-like shape, then using my nail or fingertip, I smudged it into the base, while keeping a peak to make it look like a dune. To add more texture to the dunes, I used the end of a file. However, a toothpick would have been much better. After looking at the diorama, it looked a bit bare, so I cut up and added some more foam blocks to add some more scenery to the diorama. Now it's time to get messy. I made a Mod Podge mix of 50% plaster, 30% Mod Podge, and 20% paint. After pouring half the bag of plaster all over my desk, I got straight into mixing it and adding water when needed to make it thinner. But it helps protect the foam underneath for other materials such as spray paint or paint that I use later on. Now this is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins.
I primed the Star Destroyer black and continued to base coat it in Mechanicus Standard Grey from Games Workshop to give it a nice good undercoat to start with. After the base coat, I applied a heavy dry brush of a 1-to-1 mix of Vallejo's Wolf Grey mixed with Mechanicus Standard Grey to give it a nice highlight over the Star Destroyer. I then applied some weathering by dry brushing more of Mechanicus Standard Grey over the areas of impact, such as the sides of the ship. I then applied a brown wash, in this case I used Agrax Earthshade over most of the ship to make it look nice and dirty. Off camera, I applied some Agrenon Earth to the rest of the diorama base. Basically, wherever you see cracks, that's where I applied some Agrenon Earth, which is crackle paint. Now once again, it's time to do another base coat. This time I used Xandri Dust by Games Workshop as my paint of choice. All the products you've seen me use in this video I'll be linking down below. If you're interested, feel free to check them out. I think they're pretty good. I then highlighted all the predominant areas of the diorama with Rakarth flesh, such as the edges of the cliffs, the dunes, and some of the landscape on the floor. Now it's time to shade your diorama. Step 1. Pour all of your remaining brown wash all over the diorama. Don't actually do that, it's a waste of money, and money is pretty valuable. Just using it sparingly. Now it's time to make a monster. I've never sculpted anything before, so this was all new to me. but I decided to make a mashup between the worm from Dune and the Sarlacc pit from Star Wars, interbreeding it into this weird spider worm thing that I called a Wormack. This was quite long and arduous, but it was well worth it in the end. Using the green stuff, I gave the Wormack a cool little Mohican hairdo. I then engraved some small lines to add texture. The head looked a little weird by itself, so I gave it a little body along with it. I pinched the sides to give it some little wings, and twisted the green stuff to give it some little tendrils. How many times can I say little in a sentence? Tune back next month when we find out. Using literally the same steps I did for the base of the diorama, I painted the Wormack. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. Comment below, I'd love to chat with you guys and see what you think about it. This has been Miniverse, and I'll catch you next time.